Yesterday, we talked about how we could have conditional probability, and you saw some of those conditional probabilities set up as tables. And what you probably didn't see, and I tried not to show you, is that there is a total column that we can use here and here that we didn't fill out. Now, you saw me on a couple of them fill in the bottom, count the number of graduates, that sort of thing, because we can solve a lot of those problems from yesterday a whole lot easier using a two-way table. So with this two-way table, here we have all of the boys. 16 of them are graduates, 29 of them are not graduates, and that's a total of 45 boys. There are 13 girls that are graduates, 12 girls that are not graduates, and so there are 25 girls altogether. In this total column, we want to be able to add them all up, and both sides should give us 70. Both this total should be 70 and this total should be 70. Well, there are 16 plus 13 or 29 graduates, 29 plus 12 or 41 graduates, and 29 plus 41 is 70, 45 plus 25 is 70. So that's the way these two-way tables are set up, and we're actually going to use that. We're going to make some tables here in a minute, but right now we want to look at, and among the students that graduated, what is the proportion of boys? So it's really a conditional problem. Given that the student graduated, what is the proportion or probability that it's a boy? And so let's look at where those are. All right, here are all our graduates. Here are all our graduates, and here are our non-graduates. So if we want to find the students that graduated and what percentage of them were boys, here are our graduates, and there are 29 of those total. And what part of those are boys? There are 16 of them that are boys. So that is the proportion. Next one, among the students who are not graduates, and here's the ones that are not graduates, what proportion are girls? So we have a total of 41 not graduates, and there are 12 of those that are girls. Let's look at another one. In this one, we have students that like dance. It's their favorite hobby or not their favorite hobby, so there's 41 dancers. Folks that like singing, it's not their favorite hobby, it is their favorite hobby, or it is not their favorite hobby, so there's a total of 40 that are singers. And there are 38 that have a favorite hobby, and 43 that it's not their favorite hobby. And of course, both of these columns in this row add up to be 81. So what is the relative frequency of dance being the favorite hobby? All right, so here's the favorite hobby, 38, and 17 of those are dance. And that fraction cannot be reduced. What is the relative frequency of singing being the favorite hobby? And in this case, the favorite hobby again is 38, and 21 of those it is singing. So it would be 21 over 38. Now let's look at making some of these tables. I've got started on this table. We have 45 students who own a laptop. So I got a laptop row, and so some of them do not have laptops, so I've got a not laptop row. And of these students, 27 of them do not own a four-wheeler. So we have some that have a four-wheeler and some that do not have a four-wheeler. And then of course I have a total column and of course my total row, and hopefully these numbers add up to be the same. So let's start putting in some numbers. We know for sure, all right, that if 45 students own a laptop, so there's 45 students that own a laptop, and 27 of those students do not own a four-wheeler. So that's the 27 that goes right there. Then we have 35 students who do not own a laptop, and so that goes right there. And of those, we have 12 of those that do own a four-wheeler. So that number goes right here. And so from here on out, it's really just a puzzle that we're trying to solve. And we know we have 45 here and 35 here, so this must be 80. If there are 45 that is the total, and 27 of them do not own a four-wheeler, then 18 of them must own a four-wheeler. If 35 of the students do not own a laptop and 12 of them own a four-wheeler, then there must be 23 of them that do not have a four-wheeler. And then we can add our rows up. 18 and 12 is 30. 27 and 23 is 50. And lo and behold, 30 plus 50 is 80. 45 plus 35 is 80. And we've got our two-way table. For this next one, we have 70 students who own headphones. So I have a headphones row and a not headphones row. Of these, 22 own a LED TV. So we got some that own an LED TV and some that do not own an LED TV. So let's start filling in the numbers that they've given us. They said that if we found that 70 students own headphones, right, so 70 students own headphones, and of these, 22 own an LED TV. So we'll put that 22 right here. Then, second sentence, 70 students do not own headphones, so 70 students do not own headphones. 45 of these own an LED TV, so 45 of those own an LED TV. So that's the information they've given us, and from this we can solve and figure out all the rest of it. Of course, 70 plus 70 is 140. 22 plus 45 is 67. If I take 140 and subtract 67 from it, I get 73. If I take 70 and subtract 45 from it, I get 25. If I take 70 and subtract 22 from it, I get 48. And just to double check, 67 plus 73 is 140, 70 plus 70 is 140, and so we have our table complete, and we could answer a probability problem. One last example, and this is the last example that you'll see in a video this year. Thank you for those of you who have watched the videos religiously, and thank you for those of you who have watched them occasionally. Hopefully everybody else will sort of get the hang of it as you get further along in your math career, and as more and more teachers are doing this. So here's our last example. We have a director that has 205 dancers with mixed skills. So that 205 is going to go right there. Of those, 72 dancers are trained in both classical and folk and classical dance. So I've got folks that are trained in folk and ones that are not trained in folk. I have ones that are trained in classical and ones that are not trained in classical. So now let's fill in some of this other information. 72 dancers were trained in both folk and classic. Right? And here are the ones that are trained in folk and classic, and there's 72 of those. 43 were trained in classical, but not in folk. And here are the ones that are 43 that are classically trained, but not folk trained. And then we're also told that 62 dancers were not trained in either discipline. And here is the not classical, not folk trained. So that is the information they give us from the table, and from here we can figure out all the rest of them. 72 plus 43 gives us 115. If I subtract 205, if I take 115 away from 205, I get 90. 90 minus 62 is 28. 72 plus 28 is 100. 43 plus 62 is 105. And just to double check, 100 plus 105 is 205. 115 plus 90 is also 205. And there we have it. Thank you, and as usual, please post any comments you have, any questions you might have, and of course, as usual, let me know if you've watched it and understood it. If you have watched it and didn't understand it, just put watched. And tell me what you didn't understand. If you understood everything, then tell me watched and understood.